I was fully consciously aware the entire time while I was on the other side. Now, I refer to this other side as the portal, the in-between state, the portal that you go through to go to the other sides, you go to the heavenly abodes, celestial abodes, etc. And I was completely conscious and aware while I was there.
Do you have questions about your love life? Maybe you want to know if you should change careers, or perhaps you may be wondering if your furry friend has a happy and fulfilled life. Today's sponsor, Keen, can help you dive deeper into any of these questions with a personalized and 100% confidential one-on-one reading with our psychic advisors. Connecting with talented psychics, tarot readers, and astrologers is extremely simple. All you have to do is create an account, and then you can look through hundreds of online readers, all within the convenience of an easy-to-use app. You can choose whichever reader best suits you and your goals, and then connect with them via phone or text chat. As a new customer on Keen, the best part is that you can try your first 5-minute reading for just $1. Renew your well-being now. A Keen advisor is online to help you. Go to trykeen.com/OthersideNDE or click the link in the description to connect with a Keen advisor.
On June 19th in 2013, I was killed, dead, mangled, bloody in the street, and killed. I was working as a private counselor in my private office, overlooking a park. My life was very stable, very secure. I had a lot of things going for me. That morning, I rode a motorcycle to work. I have a very unusual motorcycle. For the first time in 7 years in that office, as I left the parking garage, I turned right instead of left. In 7 years, I had never done that. To the left turn was quiet side streets in the town. To the right was intersections and boulevards. For the first time ever, and I never will know why, I decided to turn right instead of left on my motorcycle. So one way the thing is I rode a motorbike to work that day. I don't usually. Sometimes I did. As I got a few blocks away, I get into a left turn lane all by myself. I'm the only person in the left turn lane. I get a green arrow just for me to make a left turn. As I ease out to make my turn, a full-size SUV came through the light and hit me in the face, killing me instantly. Get on the street, mangled, bloody, and killed. On the corner is a tire shop. And in front of the tire shop was a man on a cell phone. He's the first man on the scene. Came running over. Spectators are coming out of the shops and around the place and saying, don't touch him, paramedics are on their way. And he said, screw it, God put me here for a reason. His name is Pastor Tom, because he's a pastor. Of all the people on the corner that day, to pastor. He pulled me from the wreck and saw that I was dead and began reading my last rites. Our Father who art in heaven, send me to heaven. On the other corner is a Jack in the Box restaurant. And there are two paramedics at the front of the drive-thru line getting lunch. Had they been at the back of the line, I wouldn't talk because instead of burgers that day, I wouldn't be here. They're on the scene in seconds, bring my body back to life. When I say they brought my body back to life, because my chitta, my consciousness, my spirit had catapulted the moment of impact to the other side. I did not have the out-of-body experience where I floated above and watched the accident scene happen. I was like, screw this, I'm out of here. This is terrible, this is tragic. I don't need to be here for any of this. And I left. I was fully consciously aware the entire time while I was on the other side. Now, I refer to this other side as the portal, the in-between state, the portal that you go through to go to the other sides, to go to the heavenly abodes, celestial abodes, etc. And I was completely conscious and aware while I was there. I'm in a peaceful state, a blissful state. I have no desires, no wants, no needs. I'm content. I have no body. There's no sense of time. Nothing is relevant there except for just being at peace and just existing. I'm in clear contact with what I now refer to as Akashic agents. You could call them guardian angels, whatever you want to refer to them as. I personally like to call them Akashic agents. The Akashic space is where all time and history and events are stored. Our karmas are stored. And that's the dimension that I felt that I was in. Within the portal, the Akashic space. The Akashic agents were benevolent and loving. And it was telepathically communicated with me that they were the, again, agents, administrators that serve God to facilitate and manage many of the worldly affairs that we experience. Meanwhile, back at an accident scene in an intersection with a pastor reading my last rites and paramedics reviving my body, I'm in a stage 3 Glasgow coma. This is synonymous with death. Literally, EMTs shrug their shoulders when you're in stage 3 and say, it's up to God now, there's nothing more we can do. And I had a diffuse axonal brain trauma. That's the worst brain trauma known to science, where your white and gray layers sever and separate. And all the billions of neurons that tell you what to do and how to do it. Everything from speaking and walking to moving your finger were separated and severed. Just in front of the Jack in the Box also was another man standing on the corner. His name is Sam. Sam was my son's best friend. He lives on the complete other side of town, nowhere even near there. And he was there at that moment because he happened to have a DMV appointment right behind the Jack in the Box that morning, put him on the corner. He called my son, who was at work. He was 19, thinking about Dodger scores and getting through with his workday at In-N-Out Burger. And he said, Brandon, your dad's been in an accident. Now, the emotions are not because of my pain. I get overwhelmed every time I think of the pain that it causes the people that I love. To be a source of their pain is something that I just cannot ever get comfortable with. I'd always been a pillar of strength and inspiration and teaching and knowledge for my loved ones, not a source of pain. And he says to the man, his friend Sam, how do you know it's my dad? Because it's his bike. No one has a bike like that. I have a very unusual motorcycle from Italy. The paramedics put me in the ambulance and I get taken to ICU. I'm in a stage 3 Glasgow coma. When my family comes to the hospital, my partner of 10 years and my son were met by 2 doctors and a priest. That's not a good sign. And they were told, if he ever wakes up, which by the way, he won't. No one ever has come out of a stage 3 DIA injury ever. Even with extensive plastic surgery, he will never look anywhere near the same. I had scars and abrasions all over my face, and I have scars and gashes all over my head. And when I woke 9 days later, I woke on my birthday, and I didn't have a scratch on me. Now, the entire time that I'm in my coma for 9 days, I am on the other side completely conscious and aware, somewhat aware of what's going on back on Earth. Clients and people are coming and praying over me. My clients that I worked with for years, families and kids, I was watching many of the people that I had counseled praying over me and with tears, praying, don't die, Scott. You're a part of our family. You've helped keep us together for so long. As our counselor, we need you. And again, the tears come because I don't want them to be in this pain over something that they cared about. And I can tell you that those prayers were absolute like calories, absolutely feeding me and giving me strength while I'm on the other side, sharing it into a very profound relationship with the Akashic agents who make me an offer. The past life or the life review is a very standard feature of the near-death experience where you see your life pass before your eyes. It was explained to me. The reason for this is because it's an opportunity to learn who you've been and how you can improve, be more spiritually inclined in your life rather than materialist. We get a chance to grow, to evolve, to expand our mind and our ambitions to spiritual ones. But I was given and offered a very rare opportunity. They offered me a multiple past life review, and I witnessed like a cinema, like instant upload into my consciousness, hundreds of lifetimes over thousands of years. I saw some of the most significant events in history pertaining to spirituality and religion because I said to them when they made this offer to me, yes, but I'm only interested in seeing lives that are significant to my spirit, to my soul's journey, where I went wrong in my soul's journey to spirituality, where I went right, so that I can make it better. I don't care about any other lifetimes. Those don't matter to me. So I was given this cinematic view of past lives. In addition to that, I was given like preview, prophecies, you could say, that of what I could expect when I went back to Ghost of Christmas Future, right? My understanding is that all NDEers get the like preview as well, but very few retain it. Most people remember the light passing before their eyes, the review, but very few people remember the preview. I was shown what I was coming back to, which was pretty horrifying. My accent was very severe, and the events that I was looking to return to were not favorable. And naturally, we all want to stay on the other side. It's beautiful, it's peaceful, it's content. It explained to me that I said something along the lines of, hey, I thought that people chose to go back. And they said that's the inference that we give them to make them more motivated to want to go back and do what's right. But the fact is, when it's your time. When it's not, it's not. You're going back. Because I was like, I don't want to go. I'll stay here. This is beautiful. This is peaceful. I love this. The only reason for me to want to go back was, of course, to be with my family. It was clear that I was going to be a burden, not an asset to them. Sure enough, for the entire 9 days, I often wondered why this is so. Why was I getting such an unusual set of things? First of all, my NDE was very severe and very prolonged because I was in a coma. So I was there the whole time. And secondly, because apparently prior to this NDE event, I was kind of qualified to receive these very beneficial perspectives. I'd been a lifelong mystic and spiritualist. I began my involvement with mystical and spiritual paths when I was a child, devouring books and knowledge on spirituality and mystical paths since literally I was 4 or 5 years old when I learned to read. I just couldn't get enough of it. By the time my NDE occurs in 2013 at 47 years old, I'm already had a full-blown Kundalini awakening at 25, brought to me by a tantric priestess through sexual magic yoga. It was absolutely amazing. My Sahasrara chakra completely expanding off the top of my head. I had been proficient already in tarot, astrology, numerology for many, many years. I was a third-degree ceremonial magician within the Ordo Templi Orientis, a secret society for higher consciousness. It's absolutely beautiful, very wise, and also a master alchemist, taught at Phenomenal College by the esteemed Dennis Hawk. probably the most profound alchemist of this age. So I already had a lot. What we hear often is that NDE kind of gives people a spiritual awakening. And of course, I'm wondering why I'm going through this very difficult experience when I was already spiritually aware and awake and dedicated my life to illumination. All I wanted since I was a child. What do you want to be when you grow up? I didn't say fireman. I didn't say police. I did think about it. I did want to be an astronaut because I wanted to get out. I wanted to experience the profound. And my honest answer before I even knew what the word meant when I was like 3 or 4 years old was enlightened. I don't know why I said that. So when I come back to my body and I wake up from my coma on my birthday of all times, I am told I cannot walk. I cannot speak. I cannot move. I'm not paralyzed. I'm not damaged physically very much. I'm actually pretty well. I sit down a scratch on my face. The reason I can't speak or walk is because I don't know how. My memory had been deleted. Just like when you go from lifetime to lifetime, when you reincarnate, your memory from past lives gets deleted. It's in your layers of consciousness somewhere, but you can't consciously access it. When I came back to my body, I had no sense of identity. I saw myself as a soul, not a human. I saw those around me as souls that I'd known from many lifetimes. I could not reconcile between past lives and current life. I didn't know which one I was in. The first words I articulated in the hospital to my loved ones were, "What are you doing in London?" That's what I thought I was, because my last life was in London, outside of London, and I was confused. I could not differentiate between the lifetimes I was seeing and which one I was in. They were all kind of merged together. I've known my son for many lifetimes. I've known my partner for many lifetimes. I move on to become something of a medical miracle, not something of. Literally the chief of brain neurology, UCLA, examined him for 3 days, several months later, and was sitting in his office, and he kept saying to me, "When was your accident?" And I'm looking at him, I'm having trouble speaking back then, but still I said, "Why do you keep asking me that?" He goes, "So I'm looking at your fMRI, and I don't know how you're sitting in front of me, sitting up and talking. You should be a vegetable. I do not understand this. Can we study you?" And he studied me for 3 days. When I called him a month or so later, and I said, "So what'd you find out?" He said, "I'm in really a lot of trouble here." And he says, "I have no idea. We want to know how you're doing this. You're a medical miracle. I have no explanation how you're doing what you're doing. You'd not be able to do it." I wasn't persevering and triumphing over tragedy because I was brave. I was doing it because I was terrified of staying the way that I was. I didn't want to be a burden to my family. And while in the hospital, I concluded that the best thing for me to do was check out, hold my breath if necessary, to just relieve them of the burden of caring for somebody that was going to be an invalid and vegetable. But a vision came. The Akashic agent said to me, "Well, what if you did recover from this? What kind of an effect would that have on people? It would inspire them, and your legacy to continue to motivate and give strength and encouragement to people, which is all you worked for, would be intact." And that's when I decided to fight on. And the other first words that I had said to my family was, "I don't know if it's humanly possible to overcome this. I only know that if it is, I will. And if I can take one step, it becomes absolute evidence that I can take two. I don't know how far I can go, but I'm going to find out." For the first 4 years, I was within both dimensions, portal dimension and also the material dimension. But most of my consciousness was far more aware in the portal dimension than the material world. It made it very hard to live and to coexist with the material world around me. Did you know that the NDE divorce rate is very high? Because the disconnect between worldly people and spiritual self is huge. I was having a very difficult time reconciling, perceiving things in such a spiritual level and not being able to quite understand and, again, reconcile the material worldly phenomena. Spiritual just made sense to me, and nothing in the world did. It was all distorted and strange and stupid, and I just didn't get it. It wasn't important to me. But you need to have a job, you need to work, you need to pay rent, you need to take showers, and you need to make food, and you need to do things in the material world because you're a part of it. And I had to force myself to kind of reintegrate within the world. Another standard feature of NDE for many severe ones, that it takes typically 7 years for your spirit consciousness to destabilize back within your body. For the first 4 years, I was far more present and aware on the other side than I was in the material world. And I went there every time I went to sleep. I was very aware and very awake within the portal. It was in about the 7th year that I fully started to reestablish back within my body and my identity. I learned who I was from scratch. My son was showing me articles in the paper who I was, because I was a private counselor. I'd been in a lot of newspapers. I had a bit of publicity for that because I was pretty successful at what I was doing. I was really saving lives, and I was doing some very innovative work. And I was a keynote speaker at a lot of places. My son's showing me these articles, and I'm like, I can't be that guy. This guy looks like he who knows what he's doing. And I'm all effed up. I can't be that guy. I was terrified. Again, we've got a collection of miracles here. The right turn over left turn, paramedic, the man, my son's friend on the corner, the pastor, of all people, a pastor. Why him? And of course, at some point, I'm wondering to the Godhead, I'm wondering to God, hey, you know what? If you can put a paramedic on one corner, a pastor, can you just make the truck swerve and miss me? That'd be nice. but it was my destiny, obviously. It doesn't work quite like that. It seems pretty evident at some point that I realized that I was not the architect and engineer of these events. Celestial forces and spiritual powers were in charge of what happened. My job was to document it. As an established, trained, experienced writer that's pretty good at his craft and takes it very seriously, I was here to document it. I'm just one of millions that do this. But as you can already see, my near-death experience was very unusual, had a lot of very different qualities. They're all unique and they're all special. But there's a set of unprecedented collection of things that seem to make it stand apart. And I wasn't proud of this. I was like, why me? I don't need this. I did what I feel I was directed to do by the Akashic agents, by the God powers, to produce this book, A Gift from My Soul to Yours. And again, I think that's the beginning of the story. It goes on. I traveled to India. I traveled to Egypt. Again, I went to many places as I tried to reintegrate and remember who I was and learn who my loved ones were.